Well, cool. Hey, thanks for joining us today. So, Connor Webb with Cardinal Financial. I'm here with Surratt and Jonathan Kaylor with Passages to Success. And so today we wanted to have them in and just kind of ask them about Passages, how they got it started. And it started as Business Over Beers, correct?
Yeah. We had a podcast.
Still do.
We still have a podcast.
It ain't dead.
Yeah, it ain't dead.
So do you guys have a Passages podcast now?
Well, we were gonna, but we'll get to that. But yeah, so it started as a podcast, Business Over Beer. And that came just by us two talking.
We just had our friend-iversary.
We had a friend. Yeah, that's right, we did.
So we've only known each other 4 years. We met on Halloween in 2018.
What were you guys dressed as?
Ourselves.
Okay.
All right. Beer drinkers, maybe?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so he came over to my house and we were watching Timbers playoff soccer, I believe.
2018.
2018.
Was that when they won it?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, and so we just became really fast friends, just brothers from another mother.
Yeah.
Just a few times in a lifetime kind of friendship.
Yeah.
And we were getting to know each other. Then in February, we went out to Hopworks in East County, and we were just having lunch with our families. And I was asking about his business. He was asking about the work I was doing. And then he said the words that changed my life forever. He said, always wanted to start a podcast.
There you go.
And I'm like, well, that sounds cool. So I got a background in radio and TV, broadcasting, and I've done some acting. And I was like, so the performance side of me was like, that sounds cool.
Yes.
Well, what would it be?
It would be like this. It's drinking beer and talking business.
And I said, Business Over Beer.
Boom,
The Bob. That's it. And
awesome.
it was born just like that. So
that was crazy.
Yes, that was 4 years ago, almost 4 years
Wow.
ago. So we launched it then. We worked all spring and summer doing interviews, and we launched in September of 2019. And we thought we were starting a podcast business, podcast and live events business.
Yeah.
And it was great. We did our first event in October or November at Fort Side. We did a live podcast for the first time, and then we did 2 live events in February of 2020. We got our first sponsor.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Listenership was up.
Yeah.
Everything was just coming up great. February 28th, we had a live event, and we're like, this is it. We're doing the thing. And then, of course, March 2020.
Then what happened?
That was the last live event we did for a really long time. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, started in person, and then did you guys move it virtually in 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when, everything hit the fan, we got together and decided, what did we want to do? How can we help, the other businesses, our friends? You got to remember, everybody we had on our podcast, we consider not just,
We're just guests. They're friends of ours.
So
Right.
how can we help these people? And so we call it the happy hour, the Bob happy hour. We did it every day for
For 2 or 3 weeks, we were doing it every day. And then we went to 3 times a week. We did 28 live streams in 11 weeks.
Okay.
Talking to different business owners, asking them how they were pivoting with COVID, how were they innovating, what resources were they leaning on, how were they doing with their mental health. And so that was a good experience for us because live streaming was something we hadn't done. So we were doing both audio live streams, and then we switched to video. So we increased our video capability and kind of got into more video production during that time as well.
And then kind of naturally, did you get into kind of business coaching and just kind of helping out with mindset at that point? Or how did that kind of take on to where it is today?
Yeah, well, so we decided that we weren't really in the podcast business. So we had a meeting with our other partner, Jason Knope, and we said, what are we doing? How can we help these people, these business owners better? And this is true. He went to the can. We're sitting there in our office, went to the can. He comes back. He goes, I got it. Membership. And I go, yes, that's it.
Well, I do all my best thinking in the can. What can I tell you?
I think most people do.
Yeah.
But it worked out. And it evolved into, something that I wish I had, because I'm a small business owner for 11 years with my wife. I wish I had something like this that we're doing, a community where, when you're first starting out, you don't know all the answers, but you're afraid to ask them because you don't want to look like you don't know all the answers. It's such a vicious circle. It's the imposter syndrome. So, we decided to do a membership, and we had a couple of hot seats. Or what was the first membership that we did?
Well, we created a Patreon page.
That's right.
For folks who know what that is in the podcast space. And so we were doing virtual mastermind and roundtables, and we were doing those every month or every quarter. And that was into 2021. So during 2021, we were doing these virtual mastermind roundtables with other small business owners. And keep in mind, our sort of market is largely micro enterprise small business owners. So, depending on how you define small business owner, somebody with 50 employees and $100 million could still be technically a small business owner, but that's not where we play, right? Our passion and our mission is really to serve micro enterprise businesses. And so that's who we had on: solopreneurs, side hustlers, people thinking about wanting to get into small business ownership. And the feedback we got from doing these roundtables was just incredible. They're like, this is awesome. This is really helpful. It's helping my mental health. I'm coming up with these great ideas for how to handle some of these things. And we were talking about things like growth for your small business, culture, hiring, different kind of real things that small business owners have to face on a daily basis. And when we look to see is there where is the roundtable and mastermind resource for Main Street small business owners? And it didn't exist. And that's kind of where my mindset was at when it was like, well, how are we going to serve small business owners? Because that's always been the mission, is to be a resource for small business owners. And it was like, I think this is the fit. I think it's offering this type of resource where people can get together and understand that, small business ownership's a lonely road, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. But it's normal to feel lonely. It's normal to not have all the answers. It's normal to have fear and anxiety. Let's normalize that conversation a little bit. Instead of hiding from it and acting like everything is okay, let's take that on and say, hey, here's a space where we can all talk about that fear and anxiety and loneliness and feel better about what it is we're doing. And then tomorrow we can wake up feeling energized and get after it.
Boom.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that kind of lines up with the whole mental health topic that really came to the forefront during COVID. Kind of the same thing, but with business owners and how important all that is in the community, to be able to bounce ideas off of each other and kind of figure out, kind of leverage your network. You don't have to know everything, but you know someone that knows what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
So, man. Yeah. I mean, that's a big. Mental health has always been a part of what we're trying to. Even before Passages, mental health was always an important piece of what we're trying to, shed light on. Is it's okay to talk about these things. It's okay to not always be okay. And, I think we live in a very social media driven world, and, you never show the bad days on social media.
Right. It's a highlight reel.
It totally is. Yeah. And people look at that and they're like, I'm not there. These people are doing better than I am.
Right.
When in reality,
they probably aren't.
Right.
And so we have a safe space in our community, in Passages, that we can talk about that stuff. So,
yeah.
Awesome.
Speaking of highlight reels, what's up with the jerseys, boys?
Well, it was your idea at first.
It was my idea.
You said you had the Griffey jersey, so I was like, all right.
Well, you're the armchair GM.
The couch
That's
GM.
Your plug, bro. That's your plug. And I've always been a Griffey fan. Griffey and Junior Felix. Those two were the baseball cards.
That's an awesome before and after on Wheel of Fortune.
That's awesome.
Do you remember Junior Felix? You were probably a little...
Junior Felix, I was like, were you combining Ken Griffey and Felix Hernandez?
Well, because
what's going on
those two guys were like the...
Junior Felix?
Junior Felix was like the baseball card that everybody wanted with Griffey. It's like those two are the guys. They're the next big thing. Well, Junior Felix turned out not to be the next big thing. But Griffey, oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
He was the real deal.
I love that guy.
Did you guys go to games in the Kingdom?
No, I never did.
Okay.
I'm a Reds guy, so I'm
Reds.
from the Midwest.
The Cubs.
I'm a Cubs guy,
Yep.
but
yeah. So that was one of the greatest days of being a Reds fan, was the day he got traded to the Reds from the Mariners. So,
Yeah.
I will never forget that day because we were just coming off of a 90-win season with a bunch of nobodies.
Is that like
in 99?
2000?
Yeah, our 99 season was just so much fun. It was an up-and-down season, and we ended up in a one-game playoff with the Mets that outlier blew us out. But that season was so much fun, and it was like, gosh, how are we ever going to... And Greg Vaughn was our big was our big home run hitter.
That's right.
And I was like, God, and then he left in free agency. We're like, God, how are we ever going to replace Greg Vaughn's bat? And early in the offseason, the Reds signed Dante Bichette. Like, all right, Dante Bichette. He's no Greg Vaughn. And then a few weeks later, it was like, oh, Griffey, that'll play. That's a good replacement for Greg Vaughn. But yeah, so huge Griffey fan.
Yeah.
Didn't have the career with the Reds that we would have liked, but still, I mean,
having an icon like that on any team,
yeah. To look back on it now, I think the appreciation in the moment, I think he got a bad deal because he was just hampered with injuries a lot of the time. He was there.
Hip.
Oh, hip and wrist and knees, and I mean, just had a string of really bad injuries, and there were just such high expectations for him and that team when he didn't take us to the World Series. It was like it was.
Yeah.
So that probably wasn't fair, but in hindsight, it was like, man, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I got to see him live in person.
Griffey?
In County Stadium in Milwaukee when the Brewers played the Mariners. Back when Milwaukee was in the AL.
I was going to say, was that early interleague play, or was that the old AL Pros?
Yeah. Man, that's...
Paul Molitor?
Paulie, yeah. Robin Young. Yeah.
It's before my day, but...
That's okay.
Yeah.
We're old.
So...
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, cool. So back to passages,
yes.
I guess.
Hey, it's your show, man. Whatever.
Yeah. So you guys had your first big event or second big event 2 months ago?
Yeah, I would say we had one in January, which was kind of the launch of Passages, which, even then COVID kind of messed everything up. But it was so cool just to have a speaker. We had Lou Alexander, who's an awesome dude, great motivational guy, speaking about, small business, and that kind of led the way to Passages. And then in March, we finally had our big conference where we
September.
September. Jeez, I'm looking ahead already. In September, we had our big one. Yeah, it was, dude. I mean, we were just talking about today, man. We are still living off that high. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to have these two conferences, where the plan is to have one in the spring and one in the fall.
Okay.
And our everyday business, our everyday community is about, the small business owners, $1 million in revenue and less, especially with a focus on those solopreneurs and service providers. But to have these larger events where we can bring in the broader community and even have, speakers and supporters from the corporate community here in Vancouver. So, for example, we had Chris Hayes, who's the president of ZoomInfo. They're a staple of the business community here in Clark County and in Vancouver. I mean, they've doubled down on having their headquarters here on the waterfront.
Building a building there.
Building a building there. So to have their president come and be part of it and impart his knowledge about what it means to grow a business, and be able to distill some of his knowledge and share that with our audience was just amazing.
It was awesome.
And we can't do it alone without the corporate community. We need support from the corporate community because they've got a lot of the resources that small business owners need. Small business owners, especially service providers, they're calling on these larger businesses, trying to get them as clients and do work for them. So that partnership there is really important, and that's a big part of why we try to do these larger conferences to kind of bridge that gap between the small business community and then the broader business community of Clark County.
Yeah, and I think at the other thing that we accomplish at these big events is, the bigger companies, the big corporate companies, when they're there in the moment, it's like, I remember being at that level. I remember not having all the answers. I remember worrying about next month. I remember not being able to hire and not knowing who to hire. And I think you see a lot of that. The fact that we had Chris Hayes is awesome, but the fact that he stayed after and taught as much as he did, you were there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I didn't think he'd stay as long as he did. He really shocked me how engaged he was with our audience, man. It was awesome.
That Q&A session was fire.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an incredible event, and like the speakers that you guys had lined up talking about the different, experiences that they've had in their business was really cool. So definitely looking forward to the next event and what that'll look like.
And now you have a role.
I have a role? Right. Picking the names out of the hat. I need a ladder next time, though.
I need a ladder. Kaylor was like, "Oh, get it.
Deal. We'll get you a ladder and stuff still, for sure.
Yep. 100%. And then I'll go hide behind the curtain the rest of the
Let's bring them out, folks.
All right, for the benefit of the viewers, so we had a raffle, and Connor was sitting at one of the very front
table, Comcast business.
Yeah. And so the first raffle we did, Ben saw Connor sitting there, and it's like, "Hey, Connor, come on out." And then it became a thing. We just every time we did a raffle, I was like, "All right, Connor, come back."
As soon as I'd sit back down, they're like, "All right, come back."
One more. So it was fun. It was entertaining, and he was a good sport about it. So we appreciated that.
For real, it was awesome. What did you think of the event, the conference?
Yeah, I thought it was.
You're not a small business owner, so you're part of of a more. I mean, you're part of a small business. I don't want to say you're a big corporate entity because you're not. You guys are a small business here in the community. But so what did you take at it for somebody who works for a small business owner?
Yeah, and so technically, like realtors are self-employed. They're a small business. We're W-2 employees, so we're technically not a small business as you said. But my business is largely commission-based, so in a sense, I am kind of a small business, having to go out and really manufacture my own deals and try to bring in deals. So, but yeah, just the different talks the different speakers that were lined up and talking. One was about mental health.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the guy that went to UW. Him and I had the little thing going on. I went to Washington State and he was UW. Oh, okay. I raised my hand for a Q thing and he gave me crap the rest of the time. But
Carl Cox
was it Carl
talking about strategic planning?
Yeah, so that was really interesting also, and kind of him teaming up with that local business that does the landscaping. Mm-hmm. And so really everyone, they had different perspectives. The Comcast business lady that spoke, she had some good insight. So I thought it was a really diverse group of speakers that came and talked, and they all had very good insight for small businesses. And it was a full room. So
yeah, that was awesome. I couldn't believe how, even now, it's like hard to believe it. It went off like better than I thought.
Yeah.
It really did.
It was great, but we worked our asses off. We did. Can I say asses on the show? Well, I just did. You can fix that in post.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like going back to the small business, it's like in our office, we have a small community of people that you can bounce ideas off of. And every day we have pipeline meetings. It's like an episode of The Office every day. Mm-hmm. During pipeline meetings. We have some comedians in the office. But yeah, being able to have people as a resource and to be able to have common experiences that you can share and then get insight on, I think is huge. So
yeah.
And then I went to your guys' last, is it a monthly Mindshare?
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
You did.
Then yeah, so kind of walk us through what that looks like, the monthly meeting.
Well, that was for our members, so it was a member-only meeting. So, we have a membership through Passages to Success, and we get together right now monthly and just go over, different things to mastermind about. So the one that you were at was about goals and goal setting, and specifically 5-year, longer-term goals, and breaking it down to the day-to-day. What are you doing today to achieve your 5-year goal? And then you were there. What did you think? I mean, we thought it was awesome. Like we did. I mean, we had a hot seat. We brought one of our members up, and she was having but we brought her goals out and see where she is with her goals. And we spent a lot of it just in her first like goal was what was it? What did she say again?
It was find my replacement was the goal she wrote down. Because as a Passages member, when you start, we have you fill out a goal worksheet, and the membership focuses really on 4 core areas, which is client acquisition, growth, culture, and exit strategy. And we talk about each one of those during calendar quarters. So this quarter is 4th quarter of the year, so we're talking about exit strategy, and that's why we're talking about goal setting and long-term goal planning. And one of our members was nice enough to kind of get in the hot seat as we said, all right, so one of your exit strategy goals was find my replacement. we sat down with her and we just kind of, roundtabled with the room. How do we make that goal better? What are the different elements of a goal that you really need to have? Because a 3-word goal is not a goal. That's not really a goal. There's no, there's no actions associated with that. You're not identifying the variables that could potentially throw that goal off. There's no timeline for completion of that goal. What are you hoping to get out of that goal? Find my replacement for what purpose, right? So making sure all those key elements are in there, and we we worked around the room to really hone in on what she meant and what she needed by that goal. Yeah. And what was interesting is from the time she wrote that goal to that day, which had been about 8 months difference, her own situation had changed. And although she still wanted to find her replacement, it was different. And I think we kind of talked about how it's important. You got to adjust your goals too. And that's why you can't write goals and stick them in a drawer, right? You have to write that goal and then be reviewing them on some periodic basis so you can say, oh, this has changed. Now I got to adjust this a little bit so that it's still in line with what my longer term vision is.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of whiteboards, and like in our office and like at home, like having on a whiteboard, like what your goals are.
Yes.
So that when you walk into a room, you take a look and it's always in front of you so that you're seeing it every day and it's always in your mind.
There's something to that for sure. And I didn't believe it. I did. I was.
Do you have a whiteboard at your?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And there was, my goal was to be full-time in Passages, and I wanted to do it by October. And it happened, but it only happened after I wrote it down. I couldn't believe it, but it actually worked. I told you, bro. Yeah. I go, I cannot believe that it actually worked. And I am one of those who's like, we'll see. Write it down. Really? Okay. We're going to do what they call it, a dream board or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. But I wrote it down, and it was in front of my computer every day. Every day I looked at it, and it happened before I wanted. I quit like right before our event. It's cool, man.
That's awesome. Good for
awesome.
You. Yeah.
So here we are.
Here we are.
Being able to cross that goal off or check mark next to it.
You have no idea. Yeah. You have no idea.
Now the hard work begins.
Yeah, not worth it.
Yeah. Now that you're in it with me full time, now I'm going to really put you to work, boy.
I got my wife and my wife.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, dear.
Yes, dear.
Awesome.
We did some podcasting at a golf tournament last year, and during one of the episodes, the DJs, you could hear the DJ's music. So it was so loud. We were doing it outside, and I was in post, and it was like trying to edit around it. It's like, because it goes from one song to a different song. I'm like, well, I guess I can't edit around that.
Were you at the McKibben Classic?
No.
The golf tournament?
No.
Okay. It was fun. Yeah, we were a whole sponsor this year. And then the year before, we did we did everything. We went around different holes, and we talked to different people, and we talked to the beneficiaries of the nonprofits that were getting the funds for raise the whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Raise the roof?
Yeah, raise the roof. But man, we were so let's just say we were having Bloody Marys by like 9.
It's true.
And
you guys didn't have to
We'll have to link. Do we have outtakes?
I don't think we even need the outtakes. I think the regular take will go just.
So you didn't have to golf. You just had to keep a golf cart on a cart path.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah. Nice.
It was a lot of fun. But it was cool because, again, we'd never done any kind of production like that, and trying to figure out the audio and the video and how to get all that.
You get it. You understand.
We had hours of footage. It was like, how do we?
Oh, so you guys were filming at that event?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so was it for like your own Passages, or was that for the company that was hosting it?
It was for the Business Over Beer podcast.
Okay.
We were doing it to benefit the golf tournament.
Yeah.
Okay.
James O'Neill, who works for Columbia Credit Union, they're the presenter of that golf tournament, and he's got a personal story with the namesake John McKibben, who the tournament is named after. He died a few years ago in a plane crash. And so he started this golf tournament, so we wanted to tell that story. And so there was the day of, but then we also interviewed the McKibben family.
Yeah.
We interviewed some of the
Sponsors.
lead sponsors, kind of get their stories around why this event is so important to them and why they sponsor it. We ended up doing an entire podcast season just around that with a lot of the different sponsors, and did kind of a documentary style podcast, which was different for us. It was the first time we kind of did something like that, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, man.
Telling the story of John McKibben and from the voice of his daughters and his wife.
It's cool.
It was fun.
How long did it end up being in total? Like an hour, a couple hours?
We released somewhere
4-part series.
So there was the documentary part was two 45-minute episodes, and then we had like 10 other episodes. We published the full interviews with the sponsors, and then we had the videos from the actual golf tournament, which was a whole other part of it. So
Nice.
It ended up being like 10 or 12, like a full season worth of content. So yeah, it was a blast.
So are you the one that does the editing?
I do all the post production. Yeah.
Cool. So you said you have some background in radio and broadcasting?
Yeah, so I went to college for radio and TV broadcasting. I went to the University of Dayton in Ohio,
Go Flyers!
Go Flyers! That's right. It's almost basketball season again. Here we go. And and I worked in TV for about a year out of college. I was a production assistant for one of the local news stations, and it just wasn't what I envisioned, wasn't what I wanted to do, and so. So I got out of that and then tried to be an actor for a couple of years after that. So those first couple of years out of college were just a lot of fun. So when he came to this, it was like the creative and performance side.
Second nature.
What was really funny though, and you talk about the cyclical nature of life. I'm sure I told you the story. I may not have told you the story. So when I was in college, I had a radio show called Midnight Euphoria. And it was on at midnight every Tuesday. It actually wasn't my show, it was my buddy Bob's show. And he said, "Hey, let's go do this show. You want to do the show with me? I've already got the name. It's going to be on at midnight. We're going to have a blast." Okay, great. And we started the show, and it was an awesome show. It was for a college radio show. Man, we had a lot of listeners, at midnight on a Tuesday night. And then our friend Liz joined just as a guest once. She just kind of came in and she was hanging out. And within a couple of weeks, it was like, well, Liz is still here, so she just stayed, and she just became part of the show. And so I had forgotten that story, and a buddy of mine who always listened to the show, he used to call in, he reminded me of that story. But what's interesting is when we started Business Over Beer, it was Ben and I. It was our show. Mm-hmm. And then we interviewed Knope. He was our first interview in the summer of 2019. Mm-hmm. And he never left.
He just stayed.
And it was like this thing came all the way full circle. It was the same kind of thing. It was like we found this third person. It's like, hey, we believe in what you're doing. It's a lot of fun. Let's keep hanging. All right, let's do it. The more the merrier. It was just really interesting how things kind of come full circle in your life sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't know that about Liz. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Not our Liz.
Different Liz? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that about that Liz.
Okay, there you go.
So did you move to LA after college?
I moved to the D.C. area for a little over a year and a half, and then moved to Chicago. And I was in Chicago for about 5 years. I meant to move to Chicago to be an actor. I was going to go do improv classes and maybe do the Second City thing. And I went with like $4,000 in my pocket, which I thought was more money than the world. I was like, man, I got all this cash. It's going to be great. And in about 6 weeks, I was broke. Yep. And so I had to go get a job. And my acting days were pretty much over at that point. So got into banking, and sales and customer service were my professional life kind of from that point on.
Awesome.
Until I decided to be a business owner. I don't know how you talked me into that. Too many beers at Hopworks, I guess.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, it's like you never know like what the start is for a business, or like how to start a business. Because I've technically started a couple of businesses. One, I started a fitness company out of college, and we started like a fitness brand. It's called Fast Fit, and so like I did like Photoshop and Illustrator. I created like our logo and all that stuff, and then just go on Google and try to figure out how to start a business. It's like you have no clue what to do, and then when you try to go and open up a business banking account, they're like, "Oh, you need like an IRS tax number."
Yeah.
It's like, well, I okay, I'm an official business with Washington State, but then and then you just kind of stumble through it. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And they will never tell you. Like the state will never tell you. The government will never tell you what you need unless you ask.
You just get your email saying you need to file by this date, otherwise your business is dissolved.
That's it. And it's like so you have to lean on people who know. You just have to. Otherwise you will fail. You will fail. Or you'll build it to a point to where it will eventually dissolve.
Right.
Because if you're not getting the answers that you need that can help your business grow, it just won't happen. And mistakes will happen.
They will happen. That's
Believe me.
And if you can minimize those, because the fact is we all start businesses around things that we're passionate about, that we love to do, that we're good at.
Right.
And so we think, all right, I'm going to go into business and do this. It's like the baker who loves baking at home. It's like, I'm a great baker, but I'm a terrible bakery owner.
Right.
Because I don't know how to shop for a storefront. I don't know how to hire people. I don't know how to do accounting and bookkeeping. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. All I want to do is bake cookies, man. Like, how did I get here? And then you end up spending all your time trying to figure out all these other things. You stop doing the thing you're passionate about and that you love.
Takes the fun out of it.
It takes the fun.
It takes
and you don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. So if you can just admit, I don't have the answers. I don't know how to do it. It's okay. Just raise your hand and say, I don't know how to do it. Who can help? And that is the core of why we started doing what we do. So that you can enjoy your business and do what you love to do every day.
Absolutely. Do you know of one, or have you guys created you can call it a directory of okay, you're a business owner. These are the different facets of taxes, bookkeeping, these various things that a business owner needs to do, maybe a circle or a wheel or something like that. And then you have your local go-to for each thing. I think that'd be really helpful for people that are starting out.
Yeah. So that's in the works right now. 2023 is going to be a big year. And we're evolving. We're evolving passages to incorporate a lot of that. We're going to do workshops. And we want it to be not just for our members, but open. We want people to come. Will we want you to be a member? Yeah, of course. But if you were doing well, if Connor does well in his business, it's going to help Vancouver. Mm-hmm. We just know it will. We believe that small business ownership is the backbone of the community. So we're going to have those workshops. It's still in the works right now, but yes, long story, yes, we are planning on doing that.
And then also formalizing a lot of these things that we've learned. We've got so much video content, and we've got so many interviews from our podcast. Yeah. And we do have these resources built, inside the community, and then the folks who support. So kind of formalizing that, for lack of a better word, into some kind of curriculum. That's also part of the longer term plan to do that. That takes a lot of work to do that. But yeah, that's certainly in the works as well.
And the relationships that we're building as well. I mean, hey, look, small business owners don't always know where to go to get a loan, right?
Right.
We've made connections with you, so now we know. Hey, look. We know Connor.
Right.
And they know you because you go to these events, We hope that you're going to be a member soon.
I mean, he keeps showing up.
I know.
I don't know. I mean,
just a formality at this point. No, I need to get the checkbook.
But in all seriousness, though, but that's, we're doing it that way as well, with all the contacts and the connections that we're making as well.
Yeah, because we met through the Chamber of Commerce a few years ago.
That's right.
And I haven't gone to a Chamber of Commerce event for a bit, but yeah, I mean, I feel like you're very connected in the community. And so the people that as well as with the people that I think you're on a great track right now with your group. So
thanks, man. Yeah. Thank you.
And if you have something to add, I mean, we're trying to support business owners, but if you want to be a speaker, if you want to be a mentor, if you want to support the things we're doing, be a partner, be a sponsor, there's all kinds of ways that other folks can work with us other than just being a member, right? We need to, just what you kind of talked about, surrounding ourselves with all these different support areas, because again, this is about the broader, Clark County, Southwest Washington business community. We want it to thrive. We want it to be successful, and we know together we can all do it. And it doesn't take just one person, right? There's competition, but there's also friendly competition, right? And there's collaboration and partnership. There's enough out there for all of us to do what we're doing and be successful at the same time.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
This is the first of many, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.